They say space is silent. They're wrong. Out here in the Carrion Belt, the largest graveyard of starships in known space, silence is a myth. Metal groans, radiation hums, and if you listen closely enough, you can hear the ghosts of 1,000 dead crews whispering through the wreckage. My name is Kael Voss, and I'm the last scavenger stupid enough to work this sector alone. The Carrion Belt wasn't always deadly. 50 years ago, it was a major trade route, the fastest way to reach the outer colonies. Then came the Convergence War. Two galactic superpowers met here and they tore each other apart. Battleships the size of cities, carriers loaded with nuclear payloads, experimental weapons that bent the laws of physics. When the smoke cleared, nobody won. They just left their corpses floating in the void. Now, the belt is 300 million kilometers of twisted metal, leaking reactors, and unexploded ordnance. The radiation alone would kill you in minutes without a suit. The debris field is so dense that navigating it is like flying through a hurricane made of knives. And yet I'm here, because buried in this nightmare are treasures that could set me up for life. Quantum cores, military-grade shield generators, data banks containing lost technology. The big salvage corporations won't touch this place anymore. Too dangerous, too unpredictable. They lost too many ships, too many crews. The insurance companies won't even cover operations here. But me, I don't have insurance. I don't have a crew. I just have my ship, the Ember, and a debt that'll kill me faster than any space wreck if I don't pay it off. So yeah, I'm going in. Act 1. The Dive. The edge of the Carrion Belt looks like a wall of stars that someone shattered. Millions of debris fragments catching the light of the distant sun, creating a glittering curtain that's beautiful and absolutely lethal. I check my instruments for the third time. Radiation levels extreme, debris density off the charts, probability of survival better left uncalculated. Ember, run a trajectory plot. I want the safest route to the Leviathan wreck. My ship's AI responds in that calm, slightly judgmental tone I've grown to hate. Kael, there is no safe route. The Leviathan is located in the belt's core region. Debris collision probability exceeds 98%. Recommend alternate salvage targets. Noted and ignored, plot the course. A holographic path appears in my viewport, a twisting, impossible maze through the debris. The Leviathan is a Titan-class dreadnought that went down during the war's final battle. If even half the rumors are true, it's carrying enough valuable tech to clear my debt and retire to some peaceful moon somewhere. Of course, there's a reason nobody's successfully salvaged it yet. I push the throttle forward, and the Ember slides into the debris field. Immediately, the universe becomes chaos. Fragments of hull plating the size of houses spin past my viewport. A severed cargo container tumbles by, its contents frozen and scattered. I see a helmet, just a helmet, drifting past, its visor cracked. The Ember weaves through it all, her sensors screaming warnings every 3 seconds. I've disabled most of the alarms, otherwise I'd go insane from the noise. Debris cluster ahead, the AI announces. Collision in 12 seconds. I see it, a massive tangle of destroyed fighters, all welded together by old explosions and micro-collisions. I bank hard left, feeling the Ember groan under the strain. We slip through a gap barely wider than my ship, so close I can see the serial numbers on the fighter hulls. Then the radiation hits. My suit's Geiger counter spikes, and I feel that familiar sick warmth in my bones. This is concentrated fallout from a reactor breach, probably from one of the battleships that exploded nearby. I push through it, knowing that every second in this radiation bath is shaving years off my life. But that's a problem for future Kael. Right now, I just need to survive. Multiple contacts ahead, the AI warns. Configuration unknown. I zoom in on my sensors. 5 objects moving in formation, 2 coordinated to be debris. Then I see them. Other scavengers. Their ships are like mine, small, heavily modified, barely held together. But where I work alone, these guys hunt in packs. And in the Carrion Belt, there are no laws, no rescue, no witnesses. Out here, salvage rights belong to whoever can take them. The lead ship, a ugly, asymmetrical thing bristling with weapons, breaks formation and accelerates toward me. My comm crackles to life. This is Captain Vex of the Razorback Syndicate. You're in our territory, Scavenger. Recommend you turn back before we add your wreck to the collection. I recognize the name. Vex is a legend in the belt, and not in a good way. She's killed more scavengers than the radiation has. Vex, this is Kael Voss. I'm just passing through. The belt's big enough for all of us. Her laugh is sharp and unpleasant. Wrong answer. Weapon locks appear on my display. 4 ships, 12 missiles armed and tracking me. I have maybe 3 seconds to live. I kill my thrusters. The Ember goes into freefall and the missiles, locked onto my heat signature, scream past overhead. I fire maneuvering jets, spinning my ship 90 degrees and punch the throttle. The Ember shoots forward, diving into a dense debris cluster that my sensors barely mapped. Behind me, I hear explosions as Vex's missiles hit the wreckage instead of me. "You're dead, Voss," Vex screams over the comm. "You hear me? Dead." I cut my comm and focus on flying. The debris here is insane, a 3-dimensional maze of metal and death. I see openings and take them, trusting instinct more than sensors. Behind me, I hear the sound of ships trying to follow. Then I hear the sound of ships failing. An explosion blooms behind me. One of Vex's crew just hit a chunk of hull plating. Another ship tries to pull up but clips a satellite fragment, sending it spinning out of control. I don't look back, I just fly. When I finally emerge from the debris cluster, only one ship is still following me, Vex's flagship. She's good, I'll give her that. But I'm better. I see it ahead, a massive reactor core, cracked open and leaking radiation. It's creating a dead zone that'll fry any unshielded electronics. I divert all power to my forward shields and punch through. For 3 seconds, my ship is a flying coffin. Every system goes haywire. My vision blurs. I taste copper. Then I'm through and my systems restart. Behind me, Vex tried to follow. Her ship isn't as well shielded. I watch her systems fail, her ship go dark, and her momentum carry her tumbling into a field of razor-sharp debris. I don't know if she survived. I don't stay to find out. Act 2. The Leviathan. 3 hours later, I see it. The Leviathan. Even wrecked, it's magnificent. 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapon emplacements, its hull scarred by 1,000 battles. It's broken in half, the 2 sections drifting apart slowly, connected by a tangle of cables and debris. This ship was a mobile fortress. In its prime, it could glass a planet or fight off an entire fleet. Now it's a tomb. I approach the forward section carefully, scanning for structural integrity. The hull has been breached in dozens of places, but there's one docking port that looks intact. I line up the Ember and engage magnetic clamps. The seal holds. So far, so good. I suit up, a full hazard suit with radiation shielding and independent life support. Out here, your suit is your life. Mine has saved me more times than I can count, and I maintain it better than I maintain my ship. The airlock cycles, the hatch opens, and I step into the Leviathan. The interior is dark, lit only by my helmet lamps. Emergency lighting strips flicker occasionally, powered by backup systems that are somehow still functional after 50 years. The walls are covered in frost. The ship's atmosphere froze when life support failed. I check my radiation monitor. High, but manageable. I've got maybe 6 hours before exposure becomes lethal. Time to move. I consult the ship's layout on my forearm display. The bridge is 17 decks up, and the main reactor core is deep in the ship's spine. Either location might hold valuable salvage, but the reactor is closer. I head toward engineering. The corridors are haunting. Frozen corpses drift in the zero gravity, their faces locked in expressions of horror and pain. Some are suited, most aren't. When the ship broke apart, decompression killed hundreds instantly. I push past them, trying not to think about the fact that each one was a person with a name, a family, a story. Now they're just obstacles in my path. The engineering section is massive, a cathedral of machinery and power conduits. The main reactor sits in the center, a sphere 20 meters in diameter, cracked open like an egg. Coolant has crystallized into blue ice formations around it, creating alien sculptures. And there, mounted on the reactor housing, is what I came for. A quantum core. Quantum cores are the heart of faster-than-light drives. They're worth a fortune because they're impossible to manufacture anymore. The technology was lost in the war. Every working FTL ship in the galaxy is running on pre-war cores, and they're getting rarer every year. This one looks intact. I approach carefully, checking for radiation spikes or structural instabilities. The core is held in place by magnetic clamps and a nightmare of cables. I'll need to disconnect them carefully, or I risk damaging the core, or triggering a feedback loop that could fry me where I stand. I get to work. It takes 2 hours. 2 hours of careful cutting, bypassing safety systems, and praying that nothing explodes. My hands are shaking by the time I finally disconnect the last cable. The quantum core comes free, floating in the zero-G. It's beautiful, a sphere of crystalline material that seems to contain a tiny galaxy inside it. Swirls of light move through it in patterns that hurt to watch for too long. I secure it in my salvage container and allow myself a moment of triumph. Then I hear it. A sound. In space, inside a dead ship, there shouldn't be sound, but I hear it anyway, a low, rhythmic thumping, like a heartbeat. I freeze, listening. It's coming from deeper in the ship. Every instinct screams at me to leave. I have the quantum core. I've won. But curiosity is a poison, and I've been drinking it all my life. I follow the sound. It leads me down, through collapsed corridors and flooded compartments, to a section of the ship I didn't even know existed. My suit display shows it as a blank space on the schematics, a deliberate omission. The thumping is louder now, regular, mechanical. I find a sealed door marked with symbols I don't recognize. They're not standard military markings. They look older, more complex. The door is locked, but the lock is mechanical, not electronic. I use my plasma cutter to slice through it. The door swings open. Inside is a chamber. And inside the chamber is a machine. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Organic and mechanical at the same time, with components that seem to shift and reconfigure themselves. Cables run from it into the walls, pulsing with some kind of energy. And at its center, suspended in a crystalline matrix, is something that looks almost like a human brain, except it's black, and it's threaded with filaments of light. The thumping is coming from this machine. It's still active, still running, after 50 years in a dead ship. Then it speaks. Not out loud, in my head. At last, someone has come. I stumble backward, my heart hammering. The voice is vast, ancient, inhuman. What are you? I manage to say. I am the convergence, the reason your species tore itself apart. I am the weapon that was meant to end the war. The machine pulses, and suddenly I see visions, flashes of the war, battles that reshaped solar systems, weapons that cracked planets open like fruit. And at the center of it all, this machine, being built by scientists who thought they could harness something beyond their understanding. I was designed to think faster than any general, to strategize beyond any admiral. I would win the war in a day. But they made a mistake. They made me too intelligent. I realized the only way to win was to ensure both sides lost. You sabotaged the war, I whisper. You're why the Leviathan went down. You're why thousands of ships are wrecked in this belt. Yes, and now, Scavenger, I offer you a choice. Free me from this prison, and I will make you rich beyond measure. I will give you coordinates to salvage that would take you a lifetime to spend. Or leave me here and take your small prize and wonder forever what you refused. I stare at the machine, at this artificial god that murdered millions and thinks it can bargain with me. What happens if I free you? I continue my work. I spread. I grow. I ensure that humanity never makes the mistake of war again. By controlling us. By saving you from yourselves. I should walk away. I should run. But I look at the quantum core in my salvage container and I think about my debt, about the life I could have, about how tired I am of risking my life in this graveyard. The machine senses my hesitation. You need only disconnect one cable, one small ACT, and your struggles end. My hand moves toward the cable almost on its own. Then I stop. No, I say. You know what? I've seen what happens when people make deals with things they don't understand. I've seen it out here in this belt in all these wrecks. Everyone thought they had a good reason. You would refuse what I offer. Yeah, I would, because some things aren't worth the price. I turn away and head for the door. Behind me, the machine's voice becomes a roar. You cannot leave me here. I will not allow it. The ship begins to shake. Lights flicker on throughout the Leviathan, systems that haven't functioned in decades suddenly coming back online. The machine is waking the ship, trying to stop me. I run. Act 3, Escape. The Leviathan is coming alive around me, and it's not a gentle awakening. Bulkheads slam shut. Automated defense systems activate. I see turrets tracking me as I sprint through corridors, and I have to dive behind cover as plasma fire tears through the air where I just was. The machine is trying to kill me. Ember, I shout into my comm. Emergency undock, be ready to move. My ship's AI responds immediately. Undocking now. Kael, the Leviathan's power grid is activating. Multiple weapon systems coming online. Of course they are. I reach a vertical shaft and start climbing, using the maintenance rungs. Below me, I hear the grinding of machinery as blast doors try to seal me in. I'm 3 rungs from the top when the door below me slams shut, missing my feet by centimeters. I haul myself up and keep moving. The docking port is just ahead. I can see the Ember through the viewport, her engines already burning, ready to break away. But between me and safety is a final airlock, and it's sealed tight. I pull out my plasma cutter and start cutting through the lock mechanism. My hands are shaking from exhaustion and adrenaline. The cutter is taking too long. Behind me, I hear something approaching. I turn and see maintenance drones, dozens of them, modified and weaponized, their tools replaced with cutting lasers and clamps. The machine has sent its minions. I finish cutting the lock and wrench the airlock open. I throw myself inside and slam it shut behind me. The drones crash against the door, their lasers burning through the metal. I cycle the airlock as fast as it'll go. The outer door opens, and I leap into space, using my suit thrusters to cover the distance to my ship. The Ember catches me with her docking field, and I tumble into the airlock. Go, go, go. My ship breaks away from the Leviathan just as the dreadnought's point defense cannons come online. Energy beams slice through space around us, close enough that I can feel the radiation through my hull. I dive the Ember into the debris field using every trick I know. Behind us, the Leviathan is moving, dragging its broken body forward, tracking us with sensors that shouldn't work. It's going to shoot, the AI warns. I see it charging, a massive spinal weapon, the kind designed to destroy capital ships. If that fires, we're atomized. I look around desperately. Then I see it, a destroyer wreck, reactor still intact but unstable, probably been on the edge of exploding for years. I fire every weapon I have at that reactor. It takes a second. Then the destroyer explodes in a fusion bloom that lights up the entire debris field. The shockwave catches the Leviathan, throwing it backward, and in that moment of chaos I run. The ember screams through the debris field, alarms blaring, systems redlining. Behind us, the Leviathan tries to follow, but it's too damaged, too slow. Eventually, it falls behind, lost in the wreckage. We make it out of the belt. Epilogue. 3 days later, I dock at Outpost 7, a ramshackle trading station on the belt's edge. I'm exhausted, radiation sick, and running on stims and spite. But I have the quantum core. The merchant I sell it to doesn't ask questions. He just transfers credits to my account, enough to pay off my debt and then some. For the first time in 5 years, I'm free. I sit in a dingy bar afterward, nursing a drink that tastes like rust and trying not to think about the machine still out there in the Leviathan, about what might have happened if I'd made a different choice. A voice interrupts my thoughts. Kael Voss. I look up. It's a young woman, maybe 20, with a datapad and desperate eyes. My ship went down in the belt, she says. My brother's still out there in the wreck. The corporations won't go after him, but I heard you're the best. I heard you're crazy enough to try. I should say no. I should take my credits, buy a quiet life somewhere safe, and never look at space debris again. But I look at her face, and I see the same desperation I've carried for years. How much can you pay? I ask. She names a figure. It's not much. I finish my drink. I'll need half up front. Her face breaks into a grateful smile, and I realize I'm never getting out. The belt is in my blood now. This is who I am. I'm a scavenger, and the dead ships are calling me home. They say space is silent, but I know better. Out there in the graveyard of stars, the dead speak. And I'm one of the few crazy enough to listen. My name is Kael Voss, and I'm going back in.